Let's get straight to it. 2016 Jeep Grand Cherokee. This is the 3.6 liter engine. Today I'll be changing the water pump. This is what the water pump and gasket should look like. Go ahead and pull that up. That's a 10 millimeter to get that out. And then pull up on the sides and the back. And just lift that up and out of there. Use a flathead or an 8 millimeter to loosen these two hose clamps. And then pull this red tab back. And then we can pull this harness off of there. We should be able to pull this off. And then pull this side off. I'm just pulling here. And then once that's up, just pull it up from the back. Just like that. And now this piece is off. We'll set that out of the way. So we're gonna have to remove this vacuum pump out of our way. So let's pull this harness out of here. Like that. And then we're gonna undo this harness. Just push this down here, this tab, and then pull this harness outside of here. All right, so once we get this harness off, and there's usually a bolt, a small bolt right here, and you can that you have to take off. Maybe it's a 10 millimeter. I could tell that there's one there, but it's not there on this vehicle. So the only thing left is these two 16 millimeter or 5/8 bolts that need to be removed here. So once that's removed, now we can get this and move it around. And so just set that. So also I removed these little clips over here that's holding this line up. So now this line is free to move around. And I can just set this up and out of the way like that. And I didn't have to remove the vacuum line and release any vacuum pressure. So now I can actually see my my water pump here. So now we can get down here, because normally the vacuum pump sits right here. So now we can see our water pump right there. So it's time to remove the belt, but my Serpentine belt tool won't fit because the extension's too long right here. So I can barely get that on there. So I'm just gonna go with a ratchet. This is a 1/2-inch drive, adapter it down to a 3/8. That way I can get it in there. So I can just turn this and pull that belt off of that water pump like that and just release it. Now we can finish removing the belt from this side. We don't have to remove it from everything, just get it away from that water pump. Okay, that should be good enough. So now we got space to work around the water pump. So to avoid having to take everything off from the bottom and raise the vehicle in the air, I just put an old towel down there with a container that can fit through this area. And also I just cut an old container, a coolant container. And now this is the one that you want to get off first if you're going to drain it this way. All right, so the goal here is to get this to drain in here. And if we miss this, then we have that blue container to catch the excess. And if we miss the blue container, then the towel is down there. So we should get out of here without making a mess on the bottom pan. All right, so far so good. We got a little bit in the blue pan and most of it in the orange container, and just a speck of it on the towel, so we know we're good to go. So I'm gonna finish draining this into this orange container and this blue container. All right, so now I'm gonna do the same thing with this one here. All right, let's turn that, loosen it. All right, see it's starting to drip already. Okay, so nothing's coming out of that bottom pipe. It's all in this hose. So I'm gonna try to, let me get this blue container out of the way. And now I can set this container down. Let's try to get this all into this orange container. Okay. So keep in mind, this was already leaking, so they had coolant down there anyways, but I was just trying not to add more coolant. So we was able to get this coolant drained without making a huge mess. So, and without raising the vehicle in the air and taking off that bottom cover. So success. All right, let's get this idler pulley off. It's a 13 millimeter to get this off. It's a good time to inspect it. Make sure it's not falling apart like a lot of these things do, and rip the belt apart along with it. I mean, if you have the money for it, I would just go ahead and change it out. I don't see why not. And now, with that pulley out of the way, we can see all the bolts that we need to hit to get this out of here. And we're going to reference our new part as well when it comes to getting this out. So this is the part where we pulled the pulley out of. So there's 1, 2, 3 bolts up top. You can see all 3 right here, 1, 2, 3. And then there's 1, 2, 3 above that pulley. You can see there's 1, 2, 3 right there above that pulley. And then there's 2 right on the side of that pulley, right above that outlet. And you can see those 2 right there. There's 1 right at the bottom of that outlet, and then 1 at the bottom of that pulley. You can see that 1 for the bottom of the outlet, and then 1 right there for the bottom of that pulley. And then there's one last one right there, which is the easiest one to get to. So those are all the bolts that we have to get out. So these ones here these look to be 10 millimeters, all the ones that's around the bottom and the sides. And then these 3 up top are bigger. We're gonna have to remove this line here too as well. Let's remove this hose clamp here, and let's pull this off from here. So once I got that off of that nipple, I'm able to drop this pipe. See, this pipe was in the way. I'm able to drop that out of the way. I can get these bolts now. So this bolt here in the middle is a 16 millimeter. And the 2 on the outside is a 13 millimeter. So this 13 millimeter, 13 millimeter, and 16 millimeter, and the rest are 10s. So let's start to get those out. So I have all of the bolts out now. I haven't pulled it off of the engine yet, but I want to explain to you about these bolts so you don't get them confused. So all of these bolts that I have, all 4 of these are the long bolts. So there are 4 long bolts, and then there are 4 short bolts. And then of course there's the 3 up top, the 13 millimeters on the outside and the 16 millimeter in the middle. So the 4 long bolts go right here on the outside of the pulley, just in case you got them mixed up. And then the 4 short bolts fill in the rest of the holes basically. So you got 1, 2, 3, and then jumps over here 4. Those are where the 4 short bolts go. And of course this hole here is where the idler pulley is going to go, and when you tighten that down, that's how you're going to get your seal there. So that's just an explanation for where the bolts go, so you don't get them confused. So we can go ahead and take them out now that we know where they go. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and start pulling this off now. It shouldn't be too much coolant release from here. And as you can see, it's tight. It's pretty tight. All right, to help me get this off, I got a pry bar. Just gonna get that right behind the pulley, since that pulley is getting replaced anyways. Right behind the pulley, and just try to get some leverage against the block. Just very gently. Be very gentle with this. See, I didn't use too much force. I didn't want to break that case right there. I was very gentle with it. Now that it's prying off, I can just slowly get that off right there. All right, so we got the old one out. You can see the gasket and how that went on. So the bellow part goes down. And so we don't need none of this. We don't have to clean none of this up. So we'll just get rid of all of that. However, we are going to have to clean up this gasket area here on the block. So go ahead and get you can either get a flat razor, turn it to the side, and just very gently scrape this off. Or if you know a better way that you want to use, if you don't trust yourself with the razor, you can do that as well. You can use, after you get the big chunks off, you can come back with rough or lightly rough sandpaper. Some people also like to use Scotch-Brite, things like that. So there's a bunch of ways you can clean the surface up. See, I like to get in there with a razor, just like that, and get all of that off. And I still have my towel down here to catch everything too. Or you can, old rag, whatever you want to use. So I'm gonna go around and do the same thing for the whole gasket surface, and I'll come back. All right, so I got all of the chunks up, so now I can come back with my Scotch-Brite and just kind of sand all of the fine pieces off. And then once I'm done with the Scotch-Brite, I'll come back with a clean rag and just wipe it down, and then have that'll leave me with a nice smooth surface. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna Scotch-Brite the rest of this as well, and then wipe it down with a rag, and then I'll come back. All right, so my gasket surfaces are nice and beautiful. I don't have any lumps or chunks, and we're nice and smooth. So we can start to get our gasket and our new pump on. So even though this gasket has rubber sealing on it, I'm still going to use some RTV on the outside here, just to make sure for double protection. I don't want to put all my trust in this little piece of seal here to get blown out. So if we put a small bead of seal around on the outside, that'll give us double the support for keeping this sealed nice and tight. So after it's done, it's gonna look something like this. I don't have it too much build up. It's just a little bit on the outside. Make sure there's nothing going on the inside. All right, so I got both sides covered up. Once I covered up the other side, then I flipped it over, laid it on here, and covered up this side. So as you can see, I just made sure I covered it on the outsides only. And so I have a complete seal around the outside. And this also helps keep this up here against this part as well. So I'm gonna hurry up and go put this on before it starts to dry. All right, so right now I have it up there with 2 bolts. That's the 16 millimeter there, and I have this bolt in over here. That's to make sure that the gasket stays lined up. So I put those 2 bolts in with the gasket, and I held those 2 in there the whole time I was putting this up. That way, the gasket stayed lined up the whole time. So they're not tight at all. They're just a little bit snug. If I move this part around, it will be able to move. So I'm gonna start to put the rest of my bolts in one by one. So I'm gonna put these 2 13 millimeters up and start to get the rest of my 10 millimeters in here. All right, so I was able to get all of the bolts in. So remember, these over here were the long bolts, these 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the rest of these over here were the short ones, and that one right there. And of course the 2 13s and the 16 millimeter. So I got everything torqued down and tightened down. So the next step, of course, is to put these 2 hoses back on. So let's go ahead and do that now. Okay, so grab your idler pulley and let's go ahead and get that in there too. All right, so now with the idler back on, let's go ahead and route this belt over here, back over the alternator, over the idler, over the AC compressor, and then over the water pump, down the crank, and back over here to the tensioner. So let's go ahead and get this belt back on. All right, it's back up there nice and tight. My connections are still hooked up and everything. So now I can just snap everything back into place, put all of these back on, and then come back over here and plug this harness back in. Trying to do it one hand isn't that easy. Once it's plugged in, just push it right back into here, like that. All right, so now it's time to get this part back on. So the same way we got it back off, just set it down there. You wanna line up these slots for these hose clamps first. So I'm gonna get this on here. Get this on this side. And then right back here, you want to get this on this little hump here. Now let's get these. All right, let's get this plugged back in, and then push the red tab back down and lock it in place. So now we just get our cover, lay that on top, straighten it out, and line up with this hole like that. And let's get our 10 millimeter back in there. And then we get this back in. All right, so the only thing left to do now is to fill this up with coolant, and that's pretty much it, guys. That's how you change your water pump in a 2016 Jeep Grand Cherokee. This is the 3.6.